Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Super excited to announce we bought a JK. As you know, I've already built up my Gladiator Scout to be a great overlanding vehicle. My wife has the diesel Wrangler, she calls Vader. My other daughter, Karis, she's got a little two-door JLU that she calls Scoundrel. That is a great little car for her. So we went out and got this JK for my daughter Talia. A couple other reasons as well. We're looking for a vehicle we could tow behind the RV that would be a lot lighter than the Gladiator. And also I wanted to get my hands dirty, actually start doing some maintenance, some wrenching on this stuff and figure out how everything works without tearing into my Gladiator. Because if I mess something up there, my wife's gonna kill me. So we went out and bought this. When we bought it, we got it for $6,000 because the engine was already blown. Two big holes in the sides. I got a crate engine that was modified by 505 Performance. And we're gonna talk with the owner of 505 to learn a little bit more about what makes this engine different than the standard crate engine. We also added a new torque converter, new Mishimoto radiator, new Mishimoto transmission cooler, all new hoses, brand new steering box. And today, we're gonna add a little bit more things, a couple things to make it even nicer. And we're gonna talk about those things on the way. Some of the things we got are the Fox 2.5 Teraflex, they're Teraflex Fox shocks that are nitrogen filled. This is gonna give this thing a nice smooth ride. The shocks on this are kind of shot. We got tires as well, and this is kind of interesting. I've decided I'm gonna remove, these are 35-inch tires on 18-inch wheels. I'm going to the 17-inch stock Wrangler wheels with the KO2 tires. And the reason is simple. Number one, yes, we will drive this vehicle off-road. Yes, we will take it places you can't get to unless you're in a Jeep. Most of the time, my daughter's gonna be driving it, or we'll be pulling it behind the RV as well. So by going to a slightly smaller tire, we'll save fuel economy, it'll drive a little bit nicer for my daughter, and those tires are so cheap, and so are the rims. I think the rims look a lot better than the ones that are on here now. And I've gone on Facebook Marketplace, and for 800 bucks, I got 5 tires and 5 rims. And then somebody gave me a tire, and I bought another rim for 25 bucks. So I've got 6 tires and rims, all the same, 2 of them brand new, they're going on the front. You can't beat that price. In fact, I'm gonna keep looking for the KO2 tires and just keep buying them, because when my daughter's tires wear out, we're gonna throw them on here. And because my Gladiator, my daughter's Jeep, and this Jeep all have the exact same rims, when I'm done with my 37s, if one of my daughter wants to throw them on there, they can. And it'll be a win-win for everybody. So, some of the other things we're gonna put on, again, we talked about the shocks. We're doing new inner fender liners. I got those cheap off Amazon. We're gonna do some DV8 fenders, get rid of these janky OEM fenders. We're gonna probably paint the bumper, clean that up a little bit, clean up some of the rust on the bottom as well. New bump stop. We're gonna put all that stuff in and swap these tires out today. So stay tuned to the channel. It's gonna be awesome. Now looking in here, that original bump stop, it literally just came out like that. What a piece of garbage. We're gonna put a little bit of penetrating oil up on top of the shock. We're gonna get this thing removed. We'll get that out, drop it down. This shock, I'm gonna show you what it looks like in here. So this thing just dropped out. It's a piece of garbage. We'll get that out of there. And you can see the shock's pretty worn. All right, so you can see back here, also, this shock's coming out. That'll get replaced. That's gonna look nice. And then this bump stop here, man, that thing's just, we'll get that out with a screwdriver. We've got new ones here. All right, so got my wrenches here. We're gonna figure out what we need. Might need a pair of vice grips. I think it's about a 15 millimeter. Let's see, no, bigger than that, that's for sure. These must be aftermarket shocks that were in here in the first place. I'm sure they are. They probably came with the kit. So this is the old shock. It's dented. I don't know if you can see that, but it's dented and it's bent. The thing's literally got a big dent in it, or bend. It's toast. So here's our Fox Teraflex 2.0, nitrogen filled with reservoir. We're gonna pull out those inner fenders and those inner fender liners. I think we need like a 6mm socket head on these. So we're just getting this fitted in here lightly. Pulling them up, getting them in place so we can see how they're gonna fit. I'm gonna clean these up a little bit with a little Rust-Oleum and try to make it look good under here. Get these rear ones on and get these rear shocks on. And then we'll move to the front again.
So removing the old shocks and installing the new ones wasn't so complicated, just a little time consuming. The new ones came ready to bolt right back in. We used the original bolts, the original hardware, and we put a little bit of anti-seize on there as well, so that we could make sure if we ever wanted to change it or do another lift, that we'd be able to pull those out again as well. We also changed out the bump stop, and then we got to work putting together the Amazon inner fender wells. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on the inner fender liners just because, what's the point? We bought these DV8 fenders that were incredibly well built, and I gotta tell you, the engineering on them, I was impressed. If I'd have known they were gonna be that well built, I probably would have got the inner fender liners as well. But like I said, I didn't want to spend a fortune on them. The fenders were about 800 bucks. Well worth it, every penny. Again, this video is not sponsored, but I gotta tell you, DV8, their equipment was fantastic. Once I got the rear shocks installed, I moved forward and started finishing up on the left side. While I was there, Zach from 505 Performance stopped in to tell me a little bit about the engine.
All right, so I'm with Zach from 505 Performance. He's the gentleman that I bought this engine from. They've been working on engines, especially for the Jeep and the Jeep Wrangler and all kinds of Jeeps forever, especially the JK. And Zach, tell me what we did with this engine that makes it better than your standard crate engine.
Okay, Zach here. We are the, I guess, foremost people in the Jeep world. I've been doing it for 25 years. So this basic motor is our basic Stage 2 HO, which is a 240 horsepower version of your factory 200 horsepower or 202 horsepower stalker. The main thing we go through is we do a different piston assembly, takes care of the oil consumption issues, different camshaft from Urson Racing, upgrade the rod bearings, main bearings, balance everything, ARP rod bolts, upgrade the cylinder heads to stainless steel valves, do some light porting work, and this is going to give us a nice little kick of about 40 horsepower. On top of that, the ECU is probably the heart and soul, or the brain, as you could say, of the situation. We go through and reprogram the ECU with, I would say, after probably 100 motors or so, we've kind of figured out what the major problems were. And number one is timing. They have too much timing in the deceleration side, causing detonation issues. You don't get full throttle till 1800. We take care of that, so it's by 1200. We also do some differences in your cooling system. So your fully cooling system, your fans are turned on fully by 180, so that way you're going to keep your temperatures down below the 210 mark. That way the motor's not cooking at 230 degrees in the desert. We also upgrade the oiling system. The oiling system is a major problem. We put a high pressure oil pump in it with a better bypass valve. And then upgrading the idle speed to around 750, where the factory set at 580. What that does is that increases our oil pressure by about 7 to 8 pounds, and that gets us enough oil pressure to oil the top end, because the major problem with the factory motor is delamination of camshafts. The camshaft delaminates because of lack of oil pressure. Then once that happens, you get material through the oil pump, you lose oil pressure through the oil pump, you stack the rod bearings, and I'm sure you've seen there's a hole in the side of the blocks where the rods come through. So once we address all these issues, now you have something that can last you 200,000 miles, where the average motors are lasting 90 to 130, and as you said, yours went out at 123. So the last kind of piece of the puzzle, along with the ECU, is we take the torque converter and we take it apart and we build a different stator at 200 RPM of stall speed, and the stator is the part that multiplies the torque. Your torque multiplication is at a 4-to-1. When we do the new torque multiplication, it gives it a 7-to-1, which is about a 30% increase in torque. That's going to give you your 0 to 40 mile per hour increase by about 3 seconds.
And it's peppy, it is.
So, I mean, it's night and day. I mean, it's not going to blow the tires off, but we are way underpowered for a vehicle that weighs 5,000 pounds. But now you can get up to 70 mile per hour at quarter throttle instead of you're putting a leg in it to get up to speed.
Well, I bet most people put in a JLU too instead of just a JKU.
You know, we sell motors to everybody. I mean, I don't even know, on the average month we're selling probably 30 motors a month.
Wow.
So, you know, there's nobody out there that everybody hated this motor. I mean, when you look at it, and it did leave a nasty mark with Chrysler, but you know, the parts are there. We just had to get the ECU working properly, and then if somebody would come out with an automatic transmission where you had 8 speeds in this thing, it would give the 3.6 a run for its money.
Yeah.
So now you get something that's going to get, on the average, to get around 17 to 18, maybe even 22 miles per gallon in this thing with 35s, where before they were getting 14.
What do you think with 33s?
I mean, I've seen with 37s on the ones that we've tested with the 4-doors, we're seeing 19.
Yeah, it came with 35s. I'm actually stepping it down to the 33s because my daughter's driving it. She's not going to be taking it off-road as much as whatever, but it'll still have a lot of pep and it'll get better gas mileage.
Well, and I mean, like I said, we stepped the program up a lot with everything, and the ECU kind of cured all the problems. I mean, if you have a factory, and I'm just talking documented, if you have a factory Jeep that low mileage, your number one thing, send me your ECU, let's do some long tube headers, and you're going to see about a 25 horsepower kick, and we're going to eliminate a lot of the problems. You're going to get a motor. There's nothing wrong with a factory motor. I mean, initially, you know, the ring package is pretty small, but you keep your air cleaner tight, and you'll have no issues. You'll get 200,000 miles.
And with those headers too, it sounds great.
Dude, it does give it a definitely nice little ting out the back, and you do see. And we are now making, the header's been discontinued from Pace America, I guess, and a couple other companies, so now we are going to be making all the headers in-house.
Cool.
So,
After speaking with Zach, I was tired, I was dirty, it was time to go home for the day. I broke my own rule and left all my tools out and everything a mess. The next day I came back to finish everything up.
Good morning, guys. It's about 10 o'clock the next day. Yesterday I left out about 5 o'clock. I broke my own rule and I left the shop a mess, left all my tools out. Been here all day, and quite frankly I didn't care. I figured I'd come back in this morning, get it cleaned up, and you know what? Levi, the gentleman who's working with me, helped me out. Came back last night and cleaned up all my tools for me, which was really nice. Didn't have to do that. So, where are we at on the Jeep? We've installed all the shocks. We have tried to install the bump stops. I still have to do the rear bump stops today and one of the front bump stops. The bump stops are kicking our ass. There's no question about it. We got the new tires on. We've got both rear fenders and both rear fender liners done. So the rear's done except for the bump stops, and it looks really good. Check this out. It looks great. I think I'm gonna spray paint right in here just to make it look a little better. But it is coming over looking really good. With the fronts, we got the front bumper on, or the front fender on this side. Still got to do the inner liner. I gotta tell you, it doesn't look bad without it though. These DV8s are awesome. The Chinese inner fender liners are actually pretty nice. This is so I don't hit my head again. They're actually pretty nice. They look okay. We'll probably have to put one more rib nut in there on each one to get it to hold well, but we're almost done. We're almost done. Today we're gonna give a shot trying to get those stupid bump stops. Anyways, let's get to work. I got a lot of garbage to throw out still and everything as well. So this is what it finally looks like. all finished. Place is a mess right now, but we're gonna do a little walk around out front too. You can see it looks good. Looks like a whole new Jeep. I think Tia's gonna love it. Fox shocks. New bump stop. Oh, everything looks good. Well, we are finally done with all of the installation, and the Jeep looks great. Let me show you what it looks like. Totally different looking vehicle. Still needs a little bit of a wash, but the Fox shocks look great. Once I still need to clean up the wiring for the worn winch and everything like that. The bump stops, we got those in. I'll probably get a little more spray paint down at the bottom just to clean it up a little bit. It looks really good. Interior is not bad. Needs a wash, a little bit of a wash. At least maybe the carpet's clean. Let me get some new speakers in here. Maybe a new stereo for Tia. Some with some power. Looks pretty good. I'm a little surprised though. That looks good, that looks good. Let's see. Yeah, it looks good. It's a cool little Jeep. I'm happy with how it came out.